So yes, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be sharing my story. Who is MacAnne? Okay, maybe you have, you just stumbled upon me recently or you started following my channel. Or maybe you've been following me on social media but you exactly don't know who I am. I'm just going to tell you my story, how I was born and everything about me. Although I also I didn't make it so open, but some persons sent me some questions and I would also be answering that on this episode. So I'm going to be talking about my journey from birth to childhood to teenagehood, and now that I am an adult, my vision, my aspiration, my exciting experiences, and yeah, what I do and why I do what I do. So these are just the basic highlight of what you would be expecting from today's episode of The Talk with MacAnne. Yes, welcome to The Talk with MacAnne. I am super grateful to God for life. I am grateful to God for peace. I am grateful to God for purpose. And I am grateful to God for you. Yes, you watching this. The past 25 years of my life has been exciting. I wish I had my glass of wine. I'm gonna say cheers to a new year. Alright, I go by the name MacAnne. It is M to the A to the C to the A to the double N E. And welcome to The Talk with MacAnne. This is your number one stop for productivity and personal development and lifestyle. Every week, I bring you new content to help you become more productive, enjoy your everyday life. Today's episode is going to be pretty special because I felt like, I need to reintroduce myself to my audience. Who is MacAnne? MacAnne is the name of a person, a lady in Nigeria, from the southeastern part of Nigeria, who is passionate about talking, making impact, and helping people discover purpose and unleash their potentials regardless of their age. Whoa, I didn't think of that. What was actually in my mind was to say MacAnne is the name of a person, just like you say, what is it now? And now is the name of a person, animal, place, or thing. What is MacAnne? MacAnne is, and then it flowed. So write that down and tweet that is MacAnne. So my name is Anne Amaka Obize. Some of you may have known, I've told you how I come about my name. MacAnne is a fusion of Amaka and Anne. Alright, so you take away the A in the Amaka and change the K to a C and you get MacAnne. Alright, so that name was given to me by my mom as a teenager. She looked at me and she said, MacAnne. MacAnne, that sounds nice. And since then I adopted it as my brand name. I am the second child and the first daughter of a family of 6. So I have 4 brothers and 1 sister. I am from Anambra State, Nigeria, and I reside in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. I am dark in complexion, not so dark, but brown skin girl. Yes, and I am a corporate MC, a transformational speaker, a personal development strategist, and an audiovisual content creator. I enjoy talking and everything and anything that gives me the opportunity to talk brings out my superpower, because talking is my gift and I am committed to utilizing it. Yes. On the 4th of June 1995, on a Sunday in Benin City, Edo State. I think I was born in the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, if I'm not mistaken. To my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Francis Obize. My dad is a businessman and my mom is a French teacher. But don't ask me, do you know how to speak French? No, I don't. In Benin, but I just have little memories of Benin. I think the first school I attended was, Mommy, what's the first school I attended? I can't remember. But then I know at a point I went to a nursery school. I think I can't remember my kindergarten, but I know there was a time my mom had to send me to live with my grandmom in Onitsha, and I went to one Igbo school like that called Maya Foundation Nursery and Primary School before my dad relocated to Abuja, and I went to Excellent Nursery and Primary School in Madala, Niger State. And I know that while in school I used to be teacher's favorite because right from time I've always been a self-motivated small girl. I can't really remember my mom giving me that push or my dad or anyone saying, okay, Amaka, read your book, because as a child I was called Amaka. And so I can't remember that, but I know I always loved knowledge. So there was this lady that stayed with us then while we were still kids. She was in secondary school. I would sneak into her corner, pick up her books, her literature, and then just read. And I have always been academically bright. First position, second position. I just love competition. Anything that, makes me shine. I just like that. In church, I was also that good girl in church, growing up with my parents, Bible recitations and the rest of it. And then from there, I had to move on. In my primary six was when there had to be a change. I left private school. That was the last time I attended private school. And then I moved on to a government school. That was LEA Zuba. And then I had to change, not because my parents couldn't really afford, but then there was a time where there was this rush. Then government schools were really good. Like, if you're in government schools, the quality of teachers and everything. So most parents wanted their kids to be in government school. And then there was this rumor that if you were not in a government primary school, you can't get into the government junior secondary school. So my mom had to change me to the LEA. So from primary 5, I moved to primary 6. And then when I came to the school, it was, I was not used to the atmosphere, the environment. We had to sit on the floor to learn. We just had few seats. And if you don't come early, you sit on the floor. You had to carry your school bag wherever you're going to because they were going to steal your money. And it was just a mixed multitude. You're in a class where there are over 60, 70 students. So that was, I was not so used to it, but then I blended. I came into the school. The first 2 terms I spent in the school, first position. And from them, I moved on to my junior secondary school. So my junior secondary school was also in junior secondary school, Zuba, Abuja. I was the second set of that school, and being in that school, I was in A class. So my childhood has always been more about me, my books. I love my books. I loved, and part of the things that in my childhood experience, I was always class captain throughout my primary school. So even before I left the private school, everyone was already looking at that, Amaka was going to be the head girl. But then I left the school in primary school, and I had my first crush while I was in primary school. Till today, I don't know where this guy is. His name is Sidney Anosike. And I know when we were kids, then I was in choreography group. So calisthenics, we do all this. When Jesus say yes, nobody can say no. All those choreography. I was doing that. I also did a bit of news reading and debate. I think a bit, but not so much. So I remember that day when I made a small phone, what would construct phones with paper, and then I brought it to him, and he looked at me and said, don't worry, when we grow up, I'll worry you and I'll buy you a bigger phone. Unfortunately, he left the school while I was in primary 5, and since then I have never heard of him. So if you know where Sidney Anosike is, if anyone knows about him, please let me know. I would just like to reconnect, not just about anything, but then for childhood memory's sake. So I moved on to junior secondary school, and while in junior secondary school, from just 1 second term, I became class captain again. I was a bit small. I've not been that big as I am now. Okay, so in my junior secondary school, I became again the class captain in school, and then noisemakers. My favorite subject was maths and literature. I love literature in English, so I loved reading. So maths was my favorite subject, and then I had favorite teachers then, maths and English teacher. And then when I got to just 3, I was made the head girl of the school. I can't remember much of my childhood, but then my junior WAEC, I wrote junior WAEC. And you know, one funny thing was I did Hausa in my junior WAEC. But guess what? I can't even make a complete sentence. I can't make a complete sentence in Hausa, but I had A1 in Hausa. How did you do it? The person we sat beside me who could speak Hausa. So whatever they were writing, we were just photocopying our writing. So that was one fun thing. If I bring out my junior WAEC result, you see A1 Hausa. I can't make a sentence in Hausa, but then that was just it. After my junior WAEC, my mom is a teacher. So the environment where I grew up in is it's a local environment where people have little or no drive for education. Most girls after my junior, while in junior secondary school, some girls got pregnant, dropped out of school, boys dropped out of school. You know, it was quite toxic environment where cultism was high in school. In my junior secondary school, boys would beat up teachers. Like if a teacher tries rubbish, some boys can just gang up and beat up the teacher. So that was the kind of environment, and I made up my mind. I was like, I don't want to continue schooling in this environment. And then my mom was recently posted to a new school in GB, and then she came back while I was still in junior secondary school. She told me that and there was this school, there was this club in their school, and they just went to Brazil to represent Nigeria. I was like, I'll be in that club, but I'll come to your school and I'll join that club. And you know, that was it. It was at my junior secondary school. When I finished junior WAEC, that was when my mom gave birth to the 5th child, Gospel. So I just ended junior WAEC, and then Gospel came. I was partly doing babysitting, and then I was doing computer training at that point. And then school time came. I was enrolled in government secondary school, GB, Abuja in Mokopa. So while in GB, there was this confusion. All my life, I had always wanted to be a barrister because I loved argument. Oh my God. I don't know why I lost all my drive for argument. These days, I cannot even argue for Africa. Once argument comes, I just drop it, Barry, and I leave you. But then, I loved Manchester United, and whenever there was this boy, my brother's friend Benjamin, we can argue and argue and argue. I love Nigerian music, I loved secular songs, so we could argue. So I had that argumentative spirit in me, and that's why I wanted to study law, because they were like, lawyers always argue. But then later on, I said to myself, I also wanted to study accounting because I loved mathematics, I loved bank, the corporate world, and everything. So I had two ambitions to study law and become an accountant. So I kept saying, how can I do this? How can I do this? So when I entered SS1, so in government school in SS1, you choose directly what you want to. You go to either science, art, or social science. Even with your state of confusion, they are just allowed to choose. I think that's a faulty area, because a lot of people don't even have enough knowledge, and then they just choose and get into a point, and later on they discover that's not what they want. So while I was in GB, I decided to join Sage Club. And Sage is Student for the Advancement of Global Entrepreneurship. It's a club where young teenagers are exposed to entrepreneurship and also avenues to make impact. So while in that club, our leader was Auntie Amaka Udojike, and we're exposed to a lot of things. So even while we're going to school, the club would have meetings sometimes after school. Sometimes you have to come, especially second term holiday. We had to spend time in school. You're doing rehearsals, you're carrying out projects. I know in SS1 when I was in the club, I first of all tried presenting. I did my best to present, presenting, you cram and everything. I will go before a mirror. But guess what? I didn't make it as a presenter in SS1, and I gave up on presenting. I said, okay, in Sage Club, I was not going to present again. So I switched over to production. So I was in charge of making liquid soap, because that was our project in that year 2010. Our project was liquid soap and pens making, and then some other small businesses my school did. So we had to produce annual report. So with that project, because I was in the production, while the presenters were presenting on stage, I was making liquid soap before the judges, and after that we go up on stage and we defend our project. We talked about the income we made, our sales. We talked about our sustainability plan. We talked about the social impact project we did, because I remember even in that year, my team built a toilet for the community. That was where the seed for social impact was planted. It was planted in me through Sage, because you needed to make social impact. Then we were using the Millennium Development Goals, MDG goals. I didn't have a clear idea of what we were doing at that point, but we were exposed to things beyond what we were taught in the classroom, and that was a turning point for me in life. So in SS1 in 2010, my school qualified. We went to South Africa to represent Nigeria. Even though at that point we didn't win, we were third runner up, even though Nigeria has been winning the competition for some time. And then we came back, we re-strategized. SS2 2011, we tried again. My school only got to the national level. We couldn't get to international level. And then we came back. And then SS3, I was made the president of the club. And then in that year, they brought out new criteria. So we were now to do the social responsible, we were to do social enterprise business. And our project then was to, we identified some women in Kwali area council, Baggy women who produce shea butter, and what we did was to package the shea butter and to cut off middlemen. And then, you know, it was a lot of amazing project. Guess what? That project qualified my school from FCT. We represented FCT in Tinapa, Calabar, and then we had to represent Nigeria in San Francisco, United States of America. And guess what? We went to US and we won the World Cup. Woohoo! Yes. Those were the highlight of my teenage days. Also, while I was also in church, I was in Redeem Teenage Church. And while I was in Redeem Church, we always had this camp, teenage camp we go to at the end of every third term. That was August. I always looked forward to it. You know, something happened during those camp period. We go for the camp, and then I used to steal from my dad then, you know, all the small change you steal, and then we just show off. So I know I stole a certain amount of money. I'm not so proud of it. But then I had to buy this Dixman. If you know Dixman, you put on Dixman and then you're just listening to it. You put your Dix with your earpiece and you're listening to it. So I bought it then, and I went to camp with it just because he wanted to form. You know, these things teenagers do just to feel among. I wanted to feel among because I felt like where I was coming from was quite local. So when you have something like that gadget, other teenagers could easily, you know, put you at a higher class. That was my mindset then. But so even in the Redeemed Teenage Church, I was first this Day Zubako assistant coordinator. Later on, I became the provincial secretary, and then moved on to the regional secretary. Okay. Another thing I loved the radio so much. How many persons remembered Palito Radio? Oh my god, I changed Palito Radio like so many times. There was this show I loved so much then on Capital FM, Lean on Me by Tony Amole. 10:30 p.m. every Monday night. You know, that show literally kept everyone in Abuja awake, because it was a show where people talk about their real life stories. It was live interview and people calling and advice. Tony Amole was a man deep in wisdom. I did not want to miss that show every Monday. So if you remember Lean on Me, if you grew up in Abuja, type in the comment section and say, yeah, I remember Lean on Me. So that was one show. I also loved Super Story. This is Super Story. Okay, so that was it. And then what else? I loved Hot FM Abuja. I listen to radio, I sleep with the radio, I wake up in the radio. Then I literally know all the radio stations in Abuja, but my favorite was Hot FM Abuja. I would call in for the birthday show. Amaka Marama, I liked Sienna Nikki. You know, these were my favorite presenters in Hot FM. I would call in, I won a recharge card during the lunch hour game show, and I won my first big phone. Like when BlackBerry came out new, BlackBerry Z10, I won BlackBerry Z10 on Hot FM. It was the highlight of everything. Woo! So that was my teenage age. It was a year of exploring. All this is I'm saying, both the leadership in church and the school thing all happened in my teenage age. And it gave me a kind of exposure that so many teenagers my age did not experience. And I think that was where purpose began to be formed for me. I didn't know presenting was something I was ever going to do. I didn't know. When I wrote JAM the first year, I failed the JAM, even though I made my WAEC at one sitting. So I applied to study economics. But after I didn't make it, I reapplied again. It was economics I wanted to study. And then, I don't know how it happened. I found myself, my admission letter said, you have been offered provisional admission to study business education. My joy was I had to just leave home because I was tired of staying at home. I was getting bigger at that point. Because helped me that helped my self-discovery process was that my parents trusted me. Okay, when I say I'm going to town, we have a meeting, because then they'll put meeting in town, they'll put video. As a teenager, my parents were allowing me go. They trusted me, and that trust, gave me the wings to fly positively. There are a lot of parents who keep restricting their children, but I believe if you train your kids well, you should trust them. So my mom trusted me. And if my mom gave me permission, my dad was just, always there. Once my mom is my mom. If you can convince my mom, my dad is not much of an issue. So that was that. I became the most social in fellowship. But what is my temperament? My temperament, I think you should already judge. My dominant temperament is choleric. But I am a call flag. It's just like two opposites. How are you a phlegmatic? Yes, I'm a choleric and I'm also a phlegmatic. I think I have spirit-controlled temperaments now made me develop more of the phlegmatic aspect. So I am a call flag. Yeah. So someone asked me, how did you discover purpose? So I would say my purpose in life is to reach out to teenagers and youths through education and media. So I educate through the media. So these are two strong pillars of my life. And since I discovered my purpose in 2018, I discovered 2017, I started making moves in 2018 till today. That's been the drive behind what I do. Someone also asked me a question, how do you maintain consistency? I am consistent because I've discovered purpose. I don't think purpose puts you on your feet. A lot of persons are complacent because they've not discovered purpose. Purpose is the reason for your existence, and once you discover why you're living, it becomes your fuel for daily living. There are times where you're discouraged, but then purpose sets you in motion. How did I discover purpose? I know that with my whole experience, there was this deep down desire in me to make impact, to reach out to people. I know there was a lot God wanted me to do, but I didn't know what it was. And then I would encourage you to read my book Emerge, and also Flip the Switch, How to Move from Confusion to Clarity. I shared a lot of the story there, and this video is getting long already. But then most importantly, subscribe to my channel. Even if you're not going to do anything for me for my birthday, share this video and share this link and send it to your BC list and tell them, please, I love this lady, I like what she's doing. I can't send her money, I can't do anything, but please subscribe to her channel. It doesn't take anything.